What I was thinking about doing with this kind of stream, I had a couple notes that I wanted to go over. See how I fixed it a little bit? I'm tilted away so the lighting may be a little bit better. Scooch back. I feel like we're a little close and intimate. Let me scoot you back just a titch. There we go. But there were some things that I wanted to go over and talk about because I have addressed it in previous streams, and some things that I wanted to talk about in this stream real quick, just kind of talk about it, give my own thoughts and personal reaction to it, because I didn't realize how big it actually was on what happened and why it happened. The reason why the Pat McAfee show had the commissioner address and the quote State of Sports is because there was nothing for that slot because the Cavs swept the Knicks. Otherwise, Knicks swept the Cavs, and so it's like, softball, college baseball, is anybody playing tonight? No. And so it was kind of like a, last second thing, which again, while watching it, because I was tuning in, tuning out, tuning in, tuning out, I didn't realize that some of the interviews were pre-recorded, not live. And so I was like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. That's actually pretty cool that they were able to get all the, get commissioners in the green room or something and be like, hey, you're up. Okay, you're up, you're up. But again, with busy schedules and all that, I can see where it made more sense that some of it was pre-recorded. And I liked how he had just 3 simple questions on what do you like about the sport? What keeps you up at night? Where do you see the sport going in the future? And it was very, very fun for me to see how each and every single commissioner answered. And so what I thought I'd give is, this is comedic informative and do not reflect, the views of their boss and their employer. We talk how we talk in the real world because that's how adults talk. If you are a youngin', and so I thought I'd just kind of go over just my thoughts a little bit, crack some jokes, be a little bit of a smart ass in some of my thoughts and rebuttals to kind of how I see each league. But again, I'm a whoa little YouTuber. Oh, so scary, But yeah, guys, if you enjoy sports content, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're going to go over this real quick. I just took down a couple notes because I just wanted to, and I've said in previous streams. So we're not for like the Habs tonight. We're not going to do Game 7 of the Spurs and stuff. Quick predictions. I think the Habs are going to win tonight. I think they're going to keep going, but if they in 5, it is what it is. But guys, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get into it as I see some of y'all starting to trickle in here. So the first one that was interviewed was the NBA. And competition, the first thing that they were talking about, where it's good. What's good for the league? Competition. There's parts of me that go, the Cavs just get swept. Where at one point, and I'm gonna keep it like it's the same with the Western Conference Final in the NHL, where it's like, didn't the Avs just get swept? What kind of world is pro competition? And if you compare the Avalanche to the Cavs, it's night and day difference. Like the competition was just so much different. So that's one thing where it's like, I do agree, like the competition in the West has been very high. The T-Wolves Nuggets series, damn, every single game ended in a fight. And it's like, you know what? These guys are chippy. They're getting after it. We're seeing it with the Spurs and Thunder. These guys do not like each other. They're getting after it. That's good. Now you go look at the West, and it's like, dog with the prayer hat and a lollipop of, well, the only other team that could have competed against the Knicks blew a 3-1 lead against the Sixers. So it's like, damn. Because, I think the Pistons get a 2 seed, 3 seed, 1 seed next year, where it's their second year in a row. I don't think it's too good to be true. It's like, okay, maybe they've arrived because, look at the Thunder back in 2024. They were the 1 seed. They were, probably favorites to get out of the West. And then you have a team that has been in the playoffs before and has that playoff experience in a good front court with Kyrie and Luka. And what does Luka do? They whoop him. They have a 4-1 upset. because I don't think a 4 seed's ever upset a 1 seed before. But then, you fast forward, okay, the Cavs did it to the Pistons anyway. But yeah, the East was not competitive at all. So that's one thing I wanted to just rebuttal a little bit and joke, because he did bring up the flopping, and that is one thing in the NBA that does definitely need to be fixed. Where yes, there are guys that have implemented in their training how to foul bait. I believe the worst one, the worst of the worst, is, I mean, we hate on SGA, but like, who started it? That's what we got to go back and look at, because you go look at old highlights of, Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, Shaq, Stockton, AI, Larry Bird, Magic. Magic didn't flop that I can recall, but again, cut-ups, of highlights instead of like, here we go, let's, show up cut-ups of them particularly flopping, because, in 10 years from now, we're going to see compilations of like, here's a compilation of SGA flopping, and it's like, wow, look at that, it's a 40-minute video. So I think fixing flopping and officiating would be beneficial for every single league. It's been something that's talked about and something that has been complained about many times, which I've made a video and a joke how, like, if replacement refs are coming to the NFL, it's like, oh boy, get ready to go, baby, because the memes are going to just be out there. Here we go. So you have the competition. The other thing too, we can talk about tanking. I'm still gonna talk about like my proposition to tanking is, if I was the commissioner of the NBA, you're winning. Let's reward winning. Let's not reward losing, because tanking is seen as a long-term benefit instead of a short benefit. Because in the long run, if you tank, your chances of winning the #1 overall lottery pick increases. Well, you look at teams like the Wizards, the Nets, the Jazz, the Pelicans, so on and so forth. Not all these teams have benefited from that. They were, okay, we tanked, here we go, tank for Tua, just like how the Dolphins did all those years ago or whatever, where it's like, okay, we tanked for Wemby, good job. All of a sudden it's like, damn it, the Spurs got Wemby, we didn't get him. And so I just think the power balls are going to be what they are, but I can see all teams, I can find teams trying to find loopholes where, guys, we can't be 1, 2, 3 at one of the worst. We got to be that 4 through 6 where, they're tanking, but then it's like, okay, we're going to ease up a little bit, and then we're going to go all the way in. We're going to go all in so we can win this game, but then next game we'll have 2 back-to-backs or something. We'll sit our starters the second back-to-back so we can lose this one, because teams are going to abuse it, and teams are going to go back and forth. And so I have said, you make it 1 through 8, you take the losers that miss the playoffs, do single elimination, make it in a neutral spot, whether it's New York, Texas, Vegas, California, you put them somewhere, neutral bubble, you put them back in Orlando or something, where the 2020 bubble was, but you get all your ducks in a row, and you just have, like, it's a weekend thing where season ends on Wednesday and we need to start playoffs on Saturday or Sunday. You have all your losing teams show up the day after, and they just compete single elimination, where winner of that tournament, congratulations, you get the first overall pick. None of this, you get to pick and choose when you want to lose so you can secure a better, 3 balls in the lottery or something like that. That'd be my only rebuttal to that. And then his last one was on the regular, and he felt like teams weren't putting their best foot forward, and it's like, yeah, 100% I agree. There were times when I would try to tune in where it's like, hell yeah, dude, the #1 Pistons are playing the Lakers. Hell yeah, I want to watch. And it's like, oh, half the Lakers starters are sitting. Oh, you get Rockets against Phoenix. Hell yeah, what? Oh, KD's sitting. Guess I don't want to, because it's, the Thunder and the Spurs played, but of all the times the Thunder and the Spurs played in the regular season, and I've talked about this on stream before, half the Thunder Spurs weren't even playing. And so to gauge how this Western Conference series would have gone, if you tried to gauge it on the regular season, where the Spurs, won their regular season 3-1, it's like, how many of those games were all the starters playing? Not all of them. so it's hard to gauge. All right, continuing on. So that's my thoughts on the NBA. I think the NBA is fine right now. I mean, I definitely think they're benefiting from the Knicks being in the finals. But just depends. I think it's a win-win who is ever in, whether it's the Thunder or the Spurs. I'd like to see the Spurs, but I have predicted the Thunder because I just, again, with the competition of how the Nuggets series was last year, the Spurs series this year for the Thunder, it's like when we're not letting foul baits dictate a game and we're actually playing competitive basketball, it's entertaining. It's good basketball. But when we're quick whistles, running up the score, and it's just like, okay, this isn't entertaining at all. Because like the NBA will improve with good defense. That's my hot take for the day. Again, if you like that, hit that subscribe button and like button. Okay, look now to the NHL, which there were so many things to talk about. Where Bettman started talking about, he's like, "What's good for the NHL right now?" Then he started to talk about the media side of things, like he's talking about heated rivalry, and it's like, holy shit, that's not what we're talking about. But because it's like my cousin right now, she's into all these kind of TV shows, and she's like, "Have you ever heard of this?" Or she was talking about another one. I think it's called like Off Campus or something. It's like, no, I don't watch these kind of TV shows. I don't give a shit. But the thing, and of course everybody was talking about ESPN and views, and it's like, yeah, no, that makes sense. But it's like, I remember the dark ages of the NHL was the step out that nobody loved, and like when NBC was big partners with the NHL. Personally, I think it should go back. And I wasn't old enough where, holy shit, Fox? Point owned? Yes, Fox did have, stakes and shares in the NFL. No, because again, I was like 3 or 4, But as far as growing up, teenager into my 20s and stuff and into the bubble, the NHL was on NBC. Doc Emmerich was the voice of the Stanley Cup. And I think it's kind of interesting now that with ESPN buying, it's like, what? Okay, so we're going to go back and forth between TNT and ABC for the next 10 years before we actually find to the Stanley Cup. Like, it's kind of weird where the NFL has always had a home with, ESPN, Fox, ABC with Monday Night Football, CBS. NFL's always had a home because it's the NFL, but like the NHL, it's like, put it on the back burner. We don't care. But like the funny thing is, hockey fans will find where to watch. And I do like the personal regional broadcasts. Again, I have my own thoughts on the blackouts and stuff where it's like, why can't I freaking watch Colorado? Or I can watch like a handful of times I can watch Vegas, but other times it's black. Like, it's like, I can't watch Vegas when they're going and playing the Rangers in New York. What the hell? And even when the Coyotes were still here before they went to, it's like, oh sweet, the Coyotes are playing. The Coyotes are playing Vegas, or the Coyotes are playing the Kings. It's like, I want to watch that game, but it's like, nope. So that was something that I was a little but I agree with the speed, the competition, and the skill of the game. Like it has tremendously improved. The one thing where I was like, no, do not touch it, because it's kind of like, no, I'm still kind of the cloth where, because they talked about the puck tracker when Fox, that was kind of their test to the first down markers for football on Fox. But I'm kind of, I like the all 22 angle of football when it will show the sky cam or behind the quarterback or like the sideline view. But the reason why I like the all 22 cut of a football game is you take away the first down markers, the big graphics, 2nd and 10, and you just have the chains, the crowd, and the teams. That is the best way to watch football, in my personal opinion. And I think I've said it before, where I would pay money, for subscriptions of some kind where it's like, you take out commercials, you take out everything, where we just have a cut where we're watching it kind of like you go turn on Steelers, old, Terry Bradshaw, or you turn on old, and I'm talking old football clips, whether it's on NBC or whatever, would show, and then like every 5-ish minutes or something, it's like, oh, that's the score. Oh, that's the period we're in, because it would show the graphic, and then the graphic would go away. I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with that, and no commentary where it's like, I've watched so much football where it's like, I know the down and distance because I can see the chains. I know what, the first down. I'll know in my brain, okay, it's first down, and I can pay attention a little more. Maybe show the score a little bit, but just like where the only cheering is from the fans, or we hear the boos, or we hear, mic'd up moments of a receiver and a DB talking shit to each other. Like, that would be fun. And if, listen to a commenter glaze a player or just go side tangent where it's like, we're not here to listen to you. We're here to watch the game. So that'd be my, one thing for football. But all that coming back to the NHL review where they were talking about the puck tracker, and I was like, yikes. I think, yes, the puck is hard to follow sometimes when you're watching a game. But the second they bring the puck tracker back, fans are going to complain. I think a puck tracker would be fine for an alt cast, because again, we're getting into this new age of, distribution and watching where, have an alternate cast where it does show, look at that, because there's alt cast for baseball, football, where we'll show the stats in real time, where they were, have that, but then have that be the little fun tracker that follows the puck. I'd be fine with that, but just in a regular broadcast, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Okay, baseball. Baseball talked about the ABS ruling, lack of competitiveness, a potential holdout, expansion, higher pay, because a lot of teams are not, I would use the term greedy, but the bare minimum of what they are paying their players. We're seeing it now with the Dodgers, where the Dodgers are going balls to the wall. They're paying people. They're bringing. They want to compete. It's good for the Dodgers now, and I think now more than ever for the next 7 years, 10 years, that's where the Dodgers window will be of them competing for pennants. The only problem is there will come a time when it's time to pay the piper, and kind of like what the Dodgers were for all those years before, the Dodgers are going to go back to irrelevancy, and it's going to be a drought again, because all these players, they finished up their time with the Dodgers, and then, them getting like a $400 contract or something like that. It's like the Rockies are like, yeah, sure, he's got 2 more years, probably in the league. He's well over the hill. He's over 35. Sure, we'll take him. Why not? And they'll pay him like $60 million or something, and they'll take him for the 2 final years, because it's like the Dodgers are getting their players in their prime, and that turnover is not going to stay consistent forever, because there'll come a time when the money runs out, and when that money runs out, that's when I feel like the Dodgers are going to go into, or you can throw the Dodgers in there, you can throw the Yanks, the Mets, a little bit, maybe the Padres, but it's the teams who like are spending, I'm talking like hand over fist, where, whoa, we're cracking how many millions of dollars in our payroll, versus you look at other small market teams like Brewers, the Rockies, the Reds, the Pirates, maybe the Cubs, but I don't know. I'll have to double check on that. Like, they're not spending as much as the other teams. Like, they are sitting on their cash. But I like how they implemented that rule where it's like, this is the minimum, this is the floor. Because I pull up the standings right now and I look at the standings. Are the Red Sox making the postseason? No. Are the Mets? No. There are a handful of teams not making the postseason this year because they didn't buy in. They didn't, let's try to swing for Bo Bichette. Let's try to swing for, who are some other big names? Schwarber. He was a big name. Only time will tell before Paul Smith is wearing pinstripes. We know this. Like, dude, we have predicted this from day one. The Pirates are not keeping him around. He's probably going to pitch maybe a season or 2 more for the Pirates, and then we're going to hit that lull where it's like, okay, we either go all in or he's out. Because how many teams, have the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Padres, the Phillies? I'm trying to think. Maybe the Giants. But how many of these teams have bought out Braves, literally, with Freeman? Uh, was about to say Stanley Cup. It's like literally won the World Series, and then he's playing for the Dodgers the next year. Because again, these teams compete and they buy players and they want it, which I'm fine with that. I don't care. It's my same with Kenneth Walker going to the Chiefs. 31 other teams could have decided to compete and throw him a contract, but they didn't. They didn't match him, and they didn't match the Chiefs, and so that's why he's with Kansas City. Okay. Lack of competitiveness, I agree with that. Because nobody right now, when we're ending May and we're going into June, and we kind of already know who's going to the postseason and who is not. Nobody wants to go watch. Now again, with the Central, it's a little different. Like, let's say the Twins, for example. The Twins and the Rockies, no one's paying $100 to go sit in the nosebleeds to watch the Twins and the Rockies. No, it's not happening. An MLB holdout, yes. I think we are at a crossroads where the potential of an MLB holdout happening will happen, and what will cause it? A Dodgers three-peat. That, because it's been very loud about how people think the Dodgers are ruining baseball. I don't think they are. I would go with the sentiment of competition. If you want Shohei Ohtani, build around Shohei Ohtani. Angels. If you want, you see what I mean? Like, the fact that two of the best players, were both sitting on the Angels at the same times, and there's this many playoffs to show for it. So again, so if Yelich is like, I'm done being on the Brewers. Who are some other big names? Like if Pete Crow Armstrong, Paul Skeens, if they're like, I'm done pitching for the Pirates. I'm pitching a perfect game and lowering my ERA, and then the closer blowing it in the 8th or the 9th. Don't be surprised if the Mets come calling, being like, it's all about the Mets, baby. But do I think there will be a holdout? Potentially, because I think it's going to be to call out the owners that don't want to pay the players money, but it will also be the players calling out the Dodgers, and that's all other teams. Not Dodgers calling out the Dodgers, but like there will be two reasons, kind of like working simultaneously of competitiveness. The thoughts of an expansion, I think, would be a terrible idea, because it's like we can't even get all the teams to be competitive. So there's that. And then Jeff Passan, I just kind of wrote this one down. I think he might be next MLB commissioner, but that's just me. All right, let's talk the WNBA. I cover women's sports here and there on my channel. The thing that was kind of like the elephant in the room that nobody talked about, which again, I don't know if it's public knowledge, but it's like the turnover and stuff of like how much they're actually making. But one thing that I noticed is I think Utah would be a place for an expansion team, but it's like didn't even bring it up. She also didn't bring up Caitlin Clark at all, or any of the other all-star players. It was kind of just about, our games are really competitive, teams are winning less, and it's like, it's easy for refs to keep the games close. And it's like either the refs are keeping the game close or we're all just brick and shit layups. But I think right now the WNBA is an interesting position. And again, this is I just put Caitlin Clark. That's all I put. And the reason why I also put a little bit of FUD and Paige, and then Detroit, Philly expansion teams, and then the thought of them having two other, I had no clue there were two other expansion teams. Like, it showed the highlight of the buzzer beater that we had, but it's like, my brain just assumed that was always a ugh. But I think it's just kind of funny where I'm not saying go to an easy market where teams will go easy on you, but it's like if we have, I mean, does anybody remember the thing we're getting thrown on the court about a year ago or something? Or the YouTuber that was banned for life because he bought like a row, like 2 or 3 seats, front row, but he took a nap at a WNBA game. So, I mean, we're banning players, not players, we're banning fans for sleeping at WNBA games and all that, and we're kicking fans out for just talking shit like fans usually do. But it's like, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a women's team, Detroit and Philly. We ever watched an Eagles game? Like, Eagles fans hate the Eagles. Detroit fans hate the Lions. And so, like, I just thought that was kind of like a double negative oxymoron of, like, as much as, like, we want, like, fans to cheer us on and not be mean, it's like, again, you're going to put 2 teams in probably the most hostile sports cities that there are. So, like, dude, Philly fans were pissed that they didn't sweep the Penguins. And it's like, yeah, I just find it funny. Thing, too, I will give a lot of credit to a Fudden page, and then we'll talk about Caitlin Clark, is there's a weird obsession with knowing who you're dating and all that. And like, because they talked about it a little bit, like they were naming names, like they talked about both those names. I'm like, I'm glad it didn't go in the way of like talk about their relationship, because again, there's just this weird obsession where everybody wants to know who you're dating and stuff. Like the NFL's gone through it, the MLB went through it. Like, I wasn't old enough to understand, but I guarantee, whoever Jeter was bringing courtside to a Lakers game at the time, or a Knicks game back when he was, the captain of New York, I bet that was big talks at the time because, oh, it's the captain of the Yankees. Who's he marrying? Who's he dating right now? But just like, it's got to be a little bit of professionalism too, where it's like, who cares if they're a couple? Like, at the end of the day, it's basketball. Let's focus on basketball and talk about your marriage quarrels or whatever bullshit like that. And then the last thing was Caitlin Clark. The reason why I'm talking to CC is because something that I think women's college basketball is still a little bit better than the WNBA, and that comes from, you got to look at South Carolina, you got to look at Notre Dame, you got to look at LSU, you got to look at the Iowa year Clark, you got to look at UConn, you got to look at like UCLA, UAE, like just the level of competitions for women's hoops. As much as we were joking with the men's league where it's like, oh, it's chalk, look at all these ones, and then you fast forward and you look at the women's bracket and it's like, it's also on seats. I think the WNBA needs to be really careful and not squander the golden goose and the golden opportunity that they have now with literally Caitlin is what Steph Curry was to the 3-ball. And if they squander that, then it's done. The WNBA will it'll fold and go under, but people just won't care. Because you cannot convince me that the three, like Steph Curry is the reason why people like Wemby, Jokic, big men in general, it's we're hucking up threes during a game. All right. And if you don't agree with me, go talk to a brick wall, because literally, go look at Shaq, go look at Tim Duncan. Yeah, Tim Duncan in the NBA Finals was not hucking up threes against the Heat. Like, he revolutionized the game that way. All right, let's talk about the UFC real quick, and then we'll talk about the NFL, and then we'll end the stream. Okay, with the UFC, we talked about the White House fight, which I think is absolutely sick. I think it's sick. Like, the UFC and boxing and fighting is like a unique situation where, like, literally, you could put an event anywhere. And, like, I'm thinking, like, the Chicago Bean or the Empire State Building or the Statue of Liberty. Where else? Four Corners. Mount Rushmore. But it's like, why would you have a boxing match at Mount Rushmore? I'm just kind of thinking of like, all you need is just a little arena, like that little box, and yeah, selective seatings here and there. But like the White House title card sounds pretty sick, because the background and stuff like that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool, and it'd be just as cool if they had a fight in like, downtown New York by the Flatiron Building, and then what's in the background? Flatiron, and then you look the other way, dude. Look at that, just the skyscrapers of New York. That'd be absolutely freaking sick. So that might be something in the future, or again, have a boxing match, UFC, like right under the Eiffel Tower. Dude, that'd be sick as shit. Because again, it's all, you can plan these events whenever. The other thing was Conor McGregor, potentially being back. I think we've done this song and dance before too, where he tried to come back, but then he like opted out because he got injured or something. So as exciting as it is to see McGregor fight again, or all the other title cards that are out there for the future, I'll believe it when I see it, because again, injuries happen. All right, last but not least, let's wrap it up with the NFL. Roger Goodell ducking Pat. I wrote that because I think McAfee's only had Goodell on once, if that, because again, the number one thing he probably would have asked is, because they've talked about it, is replacement refs, and I don't know if Goodell wanted to talk about that. But with Schefter and Rappaport, all they talked about were injuries, returns, and contracts, which was kind of whatever, boring. The potential of the Seahawks being worth $10 billion. That's a lot of money, considering they just won the Super Bowl. Hey. But I just, I thought it was kind of funny that if I was McAfee, I don't know how I'd take it, considering that Manfred's was pre-recorded, Bettman's was pre-recorded. It's like, all these commissioners took time you couldn't take 10 minutes and just talk to McAfee. I don't know. I think the other thing too is like, so many people, and this is like with YouTube, all the other social media platforms. Like the end is pretty fun to make. Not fun, but it's been low-hanging fruit to make fun of it because of the lack of parity in the league. We can make fun of the Cowboys all night and day because it's like they haven't been good in 30 years. We can make fun of the Patriots because of their off season. So yeah, there's a potential too of 18 international games total. I think it's a lot. I think because they're trying to get to the point where every single team is playing an international game. I think that's a lot to ask, considering I think the 49ers have the most travel miles this year. And especially for the 49ers and the Rams, huge divisional game that does have playoff implications in week one. To have that not even be in LA, it's kind of like, not a waste, but it's like, can we have the 49ers against maybe the Cardinals, or Rams against the Falcons, like just something else, because I don't think divisional games should be international, period. Because as it is to have the 49ers and the Cardinals go down and play Mexico City, it's like sometimes the only cards on hand that you have to play, if I'm alluding this to like a card game, are those divisional. It's how the Panthers got them. Wasn't their regular season, it was the divisional games that got them in to the postseason because of all the math and bogus. Okay, and then the last thing was Stafford talking about just his time because he spent 12 years in Detroit, and then now he's with the Rams, and he restructured his contract. And I liked the point that he said, I wanted to make a contract that was fair to the Rams and fair to me. And it was interesting because right now where I see, and I'll finish with this thought, right now where Stafford is in his career is exactly where I think Rodgers was in 2020. And let me tell you why. You're on the back end of your career. You're technically hitting your prime again. You're coming off of an MVP season and you're throwing the most touchdowns and you're efficient quarterbacks in the league. Sounds exactly what was going on Rodgers at the time. Sorry, I feel like I'm gonna gag. Now, what I find funny, but not funny ha ha, funny weird, is I find it very where they talked about the addition of Ty Simpson. Already given my thoughts on the Rams drafting him. And again, contract structures is what people might praise. Oh, look at Stafford being so mature and how he's handling, bringing on Ty Simpson or being, contract friendly, with, the Rams and all that. It's like, this is exactly the same points Rodgers was making too. Yes, Rodgers was probably pissed as hell that Jordan Love got drafted. Same with Stafford. I would be. I just won the MVP. We're one catch away from getting it down and punching it in for a touchdown in the NFC Championship game against the Seahawks, our division rival. And you want to go draft a quarterback? I'd be a little pissed. But again, we'll see how the reacts to it as we go further down the line. But like the same points that I heard Roger say about the positivity of bring him on, I'll teach him what I can, or restructuring contracts and trying to stay with the team and franchise. The same thing he was saying was the same thing Stafford was saying, but it's like it's the bias of we don't like the Packers, we don't like Rodgers, and so public enemy number one. And I just was kind of stupid, because literally, I mean, when the inevitable comes, and if the Ravens can't get it done, and then the Ravens decide to draft a quarterback, how are we going to treat Lamar? The Bills do it with Allen. How are we going to treat Allen? You know what I mean? Like, it's so stupid. So stupid. But anyways, guys, that's all I have to say. This is my address, state of sports. Because I think all the leagues are really good right now. And in fact, of all the leagues, all the leagues, I think the league that is in its golden era right now, the NHL and college football. And because there's parts of me that, again, this is me looking at like negative wise, where it's like, okay, let's look at the bad. The WNBA could fold. Okay. Baseball could hit a lockout. Okay. So there's that. The UFC is a fighting sport, so it goes in its waves and ebbs and flows anyway. And then the NBA, we already know people are not watching it. We already know. We know ratings have been down in recent years. So it's like, it just continues to be that, where it's there, but it's talked about as much as baseball is, where it's like, NFL still is, still reigns supreme about everything else. The other thing is big moves like the college football making a playoff and expanding it. Baseball, football, basketball, they can't get any more moves that make the game that much better, because you've taken away hitting, you've taken away defense's ability to play football. You've shown favoritism to quarterbacks, and we can't touch the quarterback anymore. Like, officiating and rules have ruined football. You've taken away the kickoff too. So there's no like big reaches of, this is what we... And so that's why I think just college football and the NHL are going this way when everybody else is kind of Because let's say if the SEC breaks off from the NCAA, guess who's going to follow them? The Big Ten. And then guess who's going to follow them? The ACC and the Big 12. So it's like, I don't know. Like, yeah, it is what it is. But anyways, guys, all of this was comedic, informative, and all satire. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Again, I love this is just me giving my thoughts and reactions to just McAfee kind of calling things out, kind of not. But yeah, we'll just see where it goes. But again, expansion teams, no, for every single league. It's like, nope. Like there are not enough teams within leagues themselves that are competing for championships. So to throw another one on the board, it's like, oh, yikes. The inevitability, though, of international football teams in the NFL, Toronto. We know Toronto or Mexico City is going to be the first one. There's not be an NFL team in Europe. There never will be. But it's Toronto, because there's Toronto baseball, Toronto basketball, and hockey. Hello, the whole NHL with how many Canadian teams we have. So anyways, guys, that's it. Thank y'all for watching. I'm GVS. This was my sports state of address. I think sports are fine. I think sports are in a really good place right now. You got the World Cup coming up too. I'd pencil in maybe France and a little bit of revenge. Portugal. Yeah, something like that. I don't think Argentina will go back to back. Woo. But yeah, no, soccer's in a good spot. But anyways, that's all I have to say, people. Here, be sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.